Well, I'm going to tell you another story. We've been hearing stories about the people and the light and the dark. And this story comes to us from the Inuit people in the far north of the Arctic. And it was said long, long, long ago at the beginning of the world, the Inuit people lived just in dark. It was only dark. And as they walked around and stumbled around and hunted in the dark, well, it's just how it was. And they said it could be no other. Until the day that Crow came to visit the village. And Crow, caw, caw, talked about in his travels, he went far to the south and the people there had daylight. Daylight, that's nonsense, the elders said. But some of the young people said, daylight? What is it like? And Crow told stories about how it was, and everything was so bright and beautiful. And the young people liked it so much and said, oh, if only we would have daylight. Could you get some for us? Please, please, Crow. And Crow said, it's impossible. It's too far. I'm too old. But they begged and pleaded. And so Crow said, yes, all right, I will try. And Crow headed off and flew far, far, far away in the dark. And it was so dark and so far, and he was so tired, he almost gave up when there on the edge of the earth, suddenly he started seeing a glimmer. And then as he came over the hill, suddenly it was daylight. It was amazing. Oh, he looked all around. He couldn't even believe it was so amazing and beautiful. The mountains, the blue sky, it was lovely. And then coming down from the village, there was a beautiful woman, and she leaned down to fill her bucket full of water, and Crow got an idea. He used a little bit of his magic and made himself into a little speck of dust and landed right on the woman's shoulder as she walked into the hut. Well, there inside, they were plunged into darkness again. It was so dark. But there over at the side was a box. It was a box, and Crow said, there it is. That's where the daylight comes from. And so he watched and listened, and there was a little boy, a baby, playing on the ground, and the little dust speck that was Crow went poof away from the woman over to the baby and climbed right into his ear. Well, the baby immediately started to cry, as one would do if you have a speck of something in your ear. Well, the grandfather, the chief of the tribe, came running over. He was a doting grandfather, said, what is the matter? What can I get you? And the speck in the baby's ear said, ask him for the ball of daylight. And so that's exactly what that boy did. Oh, he was rubbing his ear, and grandfather said, sure, and brought over and got the box, and they went and took out a beautiful ball of daylight. It was so beautiful. It made the little boy laugh and laugh and laugh. And then that Crow went back in his ear and bit him. And he said, ask that you can go play with the daylight outside. Oh, that really hurt his ear. But he did ask, and Grandpa said, okay, have the ball, the daylight, take it outside. And he did, and he took it out there. And as soon as they were outside and they went back into the bright light, Crow came over and with his talons grabbed that daylight ball and flew away. He flew on and on and on, carrying that ball and laughing, and it was so beautiful, and finally came to the edge of the darkness. And the people could see there was light coming. There was light coming. Everyone came outside and said, "Crow, crow, 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 come to us." And Crow was so tired that he went and he dropped that ball. But as it hit the ground, it broke open. And light spread all around the people in the north. Everywhere they looked and said, "There's mountains here and the blue sky." And they saw their friends and their grandmothers, and it was so beautiful. They said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, Crow." And Crow said, "Well, it was for a long way, and I could only bring you one ball of daylight. And so it will last for about half the year, and then it will need to go and rest, and so it can get stronger again. So the other half year will be in darkness." And the people said, "Oh, never mind. Before we had darkness all the time, we will glory in the time in the summer of the sun. And when it goes away, we will still be grateful." And so that is how, to this very day, when you go to the north parts of the world, in the winter, it is dark, 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 dark. And in the summer, the sun never sets. And the people, the Inuit people, always are grateful and kind to the crow, because it was the crow who brought to the people the great daylight of the sun.